So, welcome to the Bloomsbury Theatre. This is sort of, you get, on a DVD, you get like the making of, and normally there's not a lot to talk about really, because the comedian just gets brought in at the last minute, and these strong men busy themselves with preparing, sometimes women as well, to be fair. Anyway, this has been done on a very small budget. This is quite a different game from my previous DVD. I'm basically doing everything myself for this one, which, I don't know, some of it is a challenge. Like we've gone for this enormous backdrop that says Floors, which is, I mean, they'll be beautiful, these letters, but they're all covered in lights and stuff, and they are quite heavy, so I've brought them all here. So I'm just going to slide this in here. In a minute, I'll show you around some of the other things I've been doing. 1, 2, 3, and up we go. I can maybe saw a bit that off. No. Easy. And easy as she goes. Sorry, I'm not being funny, it's just there's 3 of you filming this, and I'm just literally... No, fair enough. I mean, that's going to have to do. I mean, the name of the show's on the fucking ticket anyway, and people can always Google it. Now, I've never really set up a soundboard before. I should have... I mean, I've Googled it, but I'll just quickly bring up what it said again. OK, so the faders, these are the... I think if we put them all to different levels, then I reckon we've got it covered. I don't like the way the 2 of them move together like that they've planned it. Yeah, that looks... I mean, that's hopefully all right. Right, and that should... No, it's not, is it? Hello? Hello, is this thing on? The comedians will say that, like if things aren't working. But they say it's a joke. But in this case, it's not a joke, 'cause it generally isn't on. Well, I suppose if I just talk loudly, actually, I can just project, and I'll try and make it sound like it is properly amplified, which I think they do that on the X Factor, is it? Or there's one show where the microphone is not a real... Am I thinking of the news? Anyway, that's going to do. It looks like a proper microphone. That's sort of half the battle, isn't it, with the DVD? Hopefully people won't be... They'll have it like on in the background anyway. I think no one ever watches TV properly, do they? So, how many tickets would you like to book? Yeah, stalls. Yes, we've got some availability. We've got C, 4 and 5, or 6, 7, 8. We've got most of C. Further back, yeah, there's F, 6, 7, 8. No, there's most of F, or G or H. I mean, where would you like to... Well, have you got a lucky letter? OK, I'll give you 18 and 19. Was it just 2? No, that's fine, just if you did want to bring anyone else. Mark Watson. Yes, it's a DVD recording. Watson. Yeah, it will be good, yeah. So if I can just take the long number across the front of the... Oh, OK. She's just checking if the other person does definitely want to come. Right, so it's one ticket in the stalls, OK. I should have done this before the day of the actual show, but I guess, screw it, you never know. Someone might be walking past. Okay. Sorry, Stuart, but you're doing pretty well already. Ramsey's young, his time will come. Yeah, that is slightly better. What else? Oh, we need some ushers. Hi there. Thanks for coming. So that's A1540, front row, in fact. Front row, central, and then just look for the seats on the ticket. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, enjoy the night.
Cheers.
No smoking, is it? Thanks. Because it's a bit of ushering there, and I've also got a shift to do in the box office itself, and then I should have 2 or 3 minutes to get ready before the performance. Hi. Hello. 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 No, I would save that long night ahead. We're not quite starting yet. I would say we're 4 or 5 minutes away probably, but I'm just going to do a little warm-up in the meantime. We obviously need the gaps to be filled. Otherwise, when they do those roving shots over the majestic full theatre, well, if there are lots of gaps, it will look a bit shit. So in the meantime, talk amongst yourselves. As I say, we'll have to start before too long. And if all else fails, we can always just use a roving shot from a time when the venue was full at the beginning of the evening. This happens quite a lot on television. Quite often, if you see something on TV and it cuts away to the audience laughing, and you think, why are they laughing at that? It wasn't funny. They weren't really. Sometimes you see a laugh that you know was, for you, given to one of the other comedians on the show. Oh, it's awful. Especially if you hate them. Oh, look at this, the doors are closing. This looks good. So when we are about to start, this infernal ditty will finally stop cycling. The lights will go down. Hello, welcome, sit the fuck down. The lights will go down. There'll be an announcement saying, please welcome Mal Watts and that sort of thing. It'll be slightly more elaborate than that because it's a DVD recording. In fact, the announcement is about 20 minutes long. And I will have gone off in order to create some suspense. But I'll only be there, obviously. And if you're that side, you'll still be able to see me. It does seem like the lights are going down, but it could be that I'm slipping into a coma. I mean, I suppose either way, something is about to happen. Oh yeah, look at that. That's either very good or very bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bloomsbury Theatre. It's time to welcome the man you came to see, unless you're someone's +1 and don't really know what's going on. He is a comedian and author. He weighs just 8 ounces. Please make a terrible fuss for Mark Watson!
Thank you, that's fine, thank you. So I thought that if I stayed on the treadmill for as long as possible, these non-existent latecomers would have every chance of filling out the theatre. We got most people in the end. We're still about 20 down. If you get latecomers for a DVD recording, things are more complicated than they normally would be. In the past, I've done all sorts of... you've seen me before. We've had all sorts of... Haven't we had some larks with latecomers? Oh, boy, I love larks. In the past, I've primed the whole audience to do various crazy things when the latecomers come in. That is more difficult to... There we are. That is a latecomer. He comes in and he imperiously kisses his girlfriend or wife. As if, I may be late, but I'm still romantic, he says. And... So there we are. If you are going to come in late, that's how you do it. That guy came in nonchalantly while I was discussing the phenomenon of latecomers, so he almost looked like he was merely hired to illustrate the situation. Suppose what we could do, you'll know if you've seen me before, my standard procedure in order to prepare for latecomers is to feed you a fake punchline, which tonight, as usual, will be, in the end, there wasn't even a kangaroo, right? If I say that at any point, it will mean that a latecomer has come in and I'm going to do the joke as if... And if you just laugh excessively at that, as if it's the most hilarious thing you've ever seen, they'll think, oh, I wish I'd heard the start of that. And they'll take the regret to their grave. So if someone comes in those doors, or those doors, we won't even look at them. I'll carry on with what I'm doing, and I will not spring the kangaroo thing until it could be halfway through the show. Later than that, you might be on your way home on the tube and I suddenly appear and say kangaroo. I will deploy it as and when I think it necessary. It's nice that so many people have come. It's quite a few years since I did my first show here. Well, yeah, 2007 was my first show at the Bloomsbury. It was a double-header with Rod Gilbert. Up-and-coming Welsh comedians was the time. Various things have changed since then. Not least, it makes me feel old, really.
Rod Gilbert, as some of you probably know, very sadly went on to have a better career. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissatisfied with the way things are, but in terms of a way you measure your career, the worst measure I've got is that same year, 2004, I was invited to an award ceremony for up-and-coming, again, this phrase, up-and-coming people in entertainment, and next to me on my table was Daniel Radcliffe. Right, and as a measure of how things have gone, I mean, you would not say Radcliffe was an up-and-coming actor these days. Radcliffe has come, there's no doubt about that. Radcliffe is just staring up at the ceiling now with his wand. Anyway, if we're going to continue this ill-thought-out coming metaphor, which in spite of some of the faces I can make out, we are going to, just briefly, but my point is, by the same metric, would you say that I have come? It's not been a bad career, but maybe it's been one of those ones where you should have had a wee before you began. And, there we go, so, thank you. A telling hesitation before people decided to laugh at that. Things aren't so bad for me, it's just that I'm 35, which, you know, is... Yeah, no. I don't know if that laughter was incredulity or pity at the appalling age I've managed to chalk up without any significant milestones in my... Yes, 35, laugh it up. Some people here, especially the people that are laughing the most, are significantly younger than that. It's always, at least this is midweek, it's not so bad, but quite often I'll do shows at weekends, and it's chastening seeing all these 17, 18-year-olds queuing up, not just at the venue, but in the bars outside, trying to get in. This thing of getting in, this is a distant memory for me now. The fake ID or the passport, I hope we get in. Are you going to get in? Yeah, I didn't get in last week. It's been a long time since... If I go to a pub now and I don't get in, I've gone in the morning, basically, which... I've just finished doing ever such a long tour, and it is nice to be back in London where that is still classed as a joke. I did a week of shows in Scotland, and every night that joke got absolutely nothing. People just... Pub in the morning? Yes. Where's the punchline? Like 9 in the morning? Yeah, still waiting. Once in the past, I would say in the past 5 years, I've been asked for ID once, and I'm at the stage of my life now where I'm positively flattered. I'm delighted to be asked for ID now. The notion I could be too young to drink is now a compliment. Even the time I was asked for ID, it wasn't like some sort of daring raid on a bar at 4 in the morning. In fact, it was the opposite of daring. I was trying to buy wine in Marks and Spencer, right? And the kid himself couldn't have been more than 20. That's the insulting thing. I don't know if you've ever been ID'd by someone that's clearly younger than yourself, but it's pretty frustrating. He said, "Have you got any proof that you're over 18? I said, "Well, yeah, I'm in Marks and Spencer." How middle-aged do you want my life to be? You want me to start leafing through the cardigans going, well, that's good value, but it'll be robust quality as well if I know my Marks and Sparks. That's made me shiver a bit to say that. I'm not quite at that stage yet. That is one of the few rules that I do live my life by. If you start saying Marks and Sparks, it's time to shoot yourself in the face. But I can barely say that. I'm already 35. In 3 years' time, I'll have started saying Marks and Sparks unironically. And where'd it go from there? By the time I'm 40, I'll probably be cooking meals where we just use up the bits we've got. I think it's the most depressing sentence in the Middle Age. What's for dinner? Oh, we've got some bits I thought we'd use up. Right, can we have something nice? No, using up the bits. And on it goes. Beyond 40, Christ knows what happens. If you came and saw me here in 7, 8 years, I'd probably have a thing in my kitchen saying, keep calm and make cupcakes. I'll assume that is an acceptable way to live my life. So, of course, I don't know you at all. There's no urgency. And some of you clearly are a bit older than me, so no offence if anyone does have a cutesy thing in their kitchen saying, keep calm. But you must take it down now. It's... This keep calm phenomenon, the main reason I'm making this DVD is just to try and do something about this. It is a real scourge now. When it started, the keep calm thing seemed fairly innocuous. It was, keep calm and carry on. There was a kind of a wartime shtick to it. It made you feel vaguely sort of British and hopeful. But now it means nothing, because immediately people just started plastering it on any old crap. And you see, like, a T-shirt, keep calm and listen to One Direction. And you think, I can't really do both at once. even then, for a while, my comfort was, well, this is just for stupid people. This will not spread to the... But now it's everyone. I went to see my doctor, a qualified man of medicine, and he's got a framed print on his wall. Not even some shit from Father's Day that he's been obliged to keep hold of, but a thing he's deliberately framed that says, keep calm, I'm a registered GP. And you sort of think, well, so I would fucking hope, really. Given that I've waited for this appointment and put my medical records into your hands, I'd be disappointed if you were just a beekeeper larking about. Where's it going to end? Keep calm, some of the charges were dropped. I honestly realise this is a little bit of a rant quite early in the evening, but seriously, see that light there, if that was some sort of magic button and I could press it and all of the Keep Calm merchandise would just be destroyed by some magic... Or I could press that one and... say Ebola would be guaranteed cleared up forever. I would obviously choose Ebola, but I'd be furious that someone put me in that situation in the first place. During that sort of tense pause, you might have seen me just mentally rerouting that joke a little bit based on silent feedback. I can't see you that well, but you do detect a vibe in the room somehow. I mean, that was... even by my standards, that was sort of a little bit of a rant, but I'm at that age, that's the thing. I keep mentioning the age as if 35 is a real milestone. There are some people here that are, as I say, quite clearly older than that, which is not necessarily expected. My target audience tends to be youngish people, students. Just looking around the room, it's certainly not uniformly the case this evening. I wonder who the oldest person is. Anyone older than 60? Yes. I was sort of... maybe expecting more of a woo, but no, at that age, it's, this sort of process is more sedate. It's, yes, I am. Please move on now with your comedy show. Understandable resistance to this line of questioning. I think they were more. 65 and above? Yes. This guy's not going anywhere. Now. Well, does he ask the question? I can't see my invisible nemesis at all, by the way, but 70 and above? No. Oh, At least he said no. For a second, I thought he was just going to let that sputter out into silence. We would never know. There we are. So the oldest person here, or at least the oldest confessed age, is between 65 and 70. And the youngest people, they're probably anyone, under 18? Under 16? Yes, still a couple. At this point, it becomes a bit alarming. Well, how old are you? You're 17. You're 18. 17. So, yeah, that's sort of all right. Still, born in what, 1998? You were born in 98, or? No, 97. 97. You're also not from the UK, probably? No, I'm from Holland. You're from Holland? I see. So, quite a bit to talk about there. Almost the ideal front row member, really. A Dutch 17-year-old. That's the market I was looking to get into. And, I've tried various avenues, but it looks like stand-up comedy was the way. It's best if we cut this bit and you don't think about it anymore. Okay. Good. Hi, welcome to the show. Willkommen? No, willkommen is German. Is it similar? Anyway, I'm sure you speak German. You had to for a bit. So the point is, I'm actually quite a bit nearer to the younger than the older sort of end of the age spectrum here. It's just that, well, I think part of it is that you tend to measure age not so much by how old you actually are as by the stage of your life that you're at. And I have 2 kids these days, which does put the years on you a bit. The elder one is 5 as well, which is old enough that he's sort of got an idea what I do for a living, which is a worrying thing. I'll talk about this a bit later. He's got a cute thing where when I leave the house, like tonight for a show, he says, "Be funny, Daddy," which, yeah, it's lovely. Also absolutely chilling, of course. I'm not under enough bloody pressure as it is. Be funny, Daddy, have a sustainable income. I spend a lot of my time now doing things that I remember from my own childhood, but I'm on the other side of the fence. I watch quite a bit of children's TV now, but suddenly not as the kid, as the parent. And the peculiar thing is, a lot of it is the same shows that we had I say we, those are about my age, when we were kids, which can only make you feel older, really, especially because they've all been slightly jazzed up. Thomas the Tank Engine is still on, but it's much funkier, the graphics. Postman Pat is probably the oddest one. This often sounds like I'm making it up, but some of you will be able to verify this if you've got kids. Postman Pat is still on, but he's a private courier now. This is true, isn't it? You can Google this. There was some sort of legal dispute with the post office, and they're not allowed to use the logo anymore. So it's the exact same show, but he's now a courier. It's called Postman Pat Special Delivery Service. And he's still got a cat, but he's also got a fucking helicopter. Anything make you feel older than the idea that Postman Pat is no longer in the employ of the post office. And of course, because he's a courier, the episodes are like 3 minutes long. He just leaves a card outside every house saying, couldn't find you today, I'm afraid. I'm also, there's no getting away from the fact that a lot of the people that I do business with now in an everyday context are a lot younger than me. People in the bank, people that serve me. The bloke that cuts my hair, my hairdresser now he can't even be 18. He'll be 16, 17, your sort of age. So we've got really no way of communicating. I had my hair cut in preparation for this, and, well, you can see how well it went. This is not really a hairstyle at all. It's less hair than before, but that's where it sort of ends as a haircut, really. There's no style, because I couldn't communicate any of my wishes to him. He even could tell I was disappointed. He said, when you get home, you want to probably give it a bit of a zhuzh. I thought, well, I suppose I might, if that was a fucking word that existed. What do you mean, zhuzh? We're just making up words, are we? I won't pay you, I'll just give you a blimble on the way out instead. Give it a zhuzh. He said, well, do you want me to do it? Do you want me to mess it up? I said, well, no, I want you to do it well. The fact remains that I am now an adult role model. And so I spend a fair bit of my time, as anyone would, at my station of life, thinking, what does this all add up to? Where have I got to in my life? And there's no escaping the fact that what I do for a living, what I've staked my place on Earth on, is basically this. I have quite a dysfunctional personality, a life full of flaws, and I describe it for the entertainment of strangers in places like this. That is my plan for life, or at least it's become my sort of modus operandi. And it's not a bad life, as I say. I would never complain. I travel around, I have lovely audiences. I've met Peter Andre. No one can say that's a bad life. But as a way of living, is it a good idea to base everything on basically things going wrong, which is what stand-ups to some degree have to do? To give one example of something which hasn't gone that well for me, which became part of my show, I was in the post office, and the thing I was paying for was quite a specific amount, £4.32, and I'm the sort of person that will always try and give the exact, would you like the exact money? Oh, I think I've got the 32. Just for that moment where their face lights up. And sometimes they'll even turn to the person in the next booth and go, I'm all right for change. Yeah, I've got this gentleman's given me 32. That's often the most validation I feel in a day. It's what I call people-pleasing. I'm always looking for opportunities to do small things to make people like me. I love giving people directions. People are so grateful if they're lost and you bail them out. The thing is, I've really got no sense of direction at all. But nonetheless, if someone asks me, I'll always have a crack at it. I've given 2 or 3 people directions over the past week. None of them will have got there, but I enjoyed it, and that's the key thing. I was once, this is a slightly darker example, but I was once in a train station, and I could see this handbag about to slide off a lady's shoulder, and actually reached out and just nudged it so it did fall off, so I could be the one to pick it up and give it back to her. And she's like, thank you so much, I don't know how I managed to lose that. I do, I thought. As I say, a people pleaser. But the trouble is, although I'm quite well-meaning, I'm a little bit incompetent as well. So on this occasion, having said, I'll give you the exact 32, I soon realised I didn't actually have it, or, not to hand. I probably had it in my pocket, but I'm having to rummage through, 25, 26, sorry, I do have it, 27, and meanwhile this longer and longer queue of people is behind me, all of them clearly thinking, I wish your parents had never met at that Roxy Music gig. And it's getting more and more stressed and hot. It was as hot as it is here with the lights. And 30, 31, laboriously I counted 32p. Finally, got the 32, but I'm sweaty and dropped it all over the floor. 32p, just all, and 2 of the coins didn't even have the decency to just fall flat, but they did that thing that coins will do of rolling teasingly away. So this whole post office was watching me as I watched my coins roll away, and suddenly I just lost it and went, fuck off then, at the coins, which is the sort of behaviour that will have an impact in the post office. You see people thinking, is that man shouting at his money? Yes, I am. Well, no, it's not my money anymore, it's dead to me now. Any further questions? And there is one example of the sort of thing which happens to me It becomes part of my show. That is a true story. Like I very rarely tell a false story on stage. It takes a lot of creative talent and energy to make up crazy stuff that could have happened. I find it's more economical just to have a shit life and report it back, more or less verbatim. But that's the point. It's all very well telling a story like that from the post office, but would you want your life to be like that? No, probably you would want your life to be going well. Within that story, there are a couple of my most significant flaws. Well, I don't know, some of them are not that significant. Like the swearing. There's no doubt I swear too much. You shouldn't be swearing at coins in the post office. And it's the sort of thing with kids in the house that you worry about. I swear more than ever, if anything. To be fair, most of my swearing is what you might call a victimless crime. It's generally at objects rather than people. I'm quite nice to people, but I can never make any objects work. The stuff in my house gets a terrible beat. I called my toaster a fucking bell end. Looking back, it was actually my mistake with the settings. And to be fair, the toaster was a complete pro, just carried on like nothing had happened. I thought that breakfast might be awkward after that, but it's very good about it. Much more significant flaw is this people-pleasing. This sounds like a nice thing, the desire to make people happy, but it comes from a place of weakness, basically. I'm scared of people not liking me, so I'm always trying to make sure that they do, which leads to quite a lot of inappropriate friendliness. The way I sort of cozied up to that Dutch boy, it didn't really work out. It was an attempt at friendliness. It didn't work out. This happens to me all the time. I saw a big issue seller one time, and I had no intention of buying the big issue, not out of callousness, but I already had it. I'd bought it that week, so you don't want to be sort of guilt-tripped into buying another one, but at the same time, as I got close to him, I thought, what do I say? I don't want to fob him off. I don't want to be patronising like some people are and go, good luck, or something. And the closer I got to him, the more I thought, what do you say? What are you meant to say to a big issue seller? And the point is, you don't need to think about this at all. You can just walk. I don't think they take it personally, but I'd made it personal in my own mind. I was getting closer and closer and panicking more. And in the end, as I walked right past him, I just went, I'm not buying it! And just waltzed into the distance thinking, well, I really diffused the awkwardness of that situation. And that's nothing. Compare some of the interactions I've had with people, especially in London, where talking to anyone is difficult, because London's not really set up for that to happen, as you know. The worst, you couldn't really call it a conversation, but the worst interaction I've had with a fellow human, certainly in recent years, was on an escalator coming out of a tube station, and without meaning to, you might have done this, I got between these two friends. One of them was walking much faster than the other, much more quickly, I suppose. Sorry about that, I have adverb problem there. And this is a DVD, this is forever. I don't know what people are going, it was funny, but the fucking grammar at times. So I got between these two friends, and the guy in front, though, wasn't aware of this, so he kept on talking over his shoulder as if it was still his mate listening to him. But it wasn't. It was me now. And it was quite personal data. He was on about his girlfriend, Becky. I've just thought for the first time this will be broadcast, so I don't know if... Anyway, Becky Chamberlain was her name. And, it's too late. It's too late for me to imaginatively dream up another name. It's Becky Chamberlain. And I know because he was using... I said, the thing that... I'll tell you what, me and Becky have had a hard time. Becky's been pissing me off, and he's addressing all this to this supposed friend over his shoulder that had become me. And this is why he used the full name. He said, sometimes I think of just saying, Becky Chamberlain, this is not meant to be. And it's getting more and more intense. And I felt like I had to stand in for the friend that he believed was hearing all this. So after a while, I started going, yeah. And I did it in the most neutral tone of voice possible. And it worked. For about a minute, I was just there going, yeah. And the guy didn't look around once. I had become a substitute friend. There was one point where I got so cocky, I even sort of went, Becky. Not bad, considering I'd never met any of the people in this equation, but of course, the moment was coming where I would be found out, and as you can imagine, the moment was the top of the escalator. The guy said, right, anyway, never mind all this, shall we go for a pint? He swung around, and for the first time he realised all this time it hadn't been his mate, it had been me. So it's, by any standards, quite an awkward situation. And I thought, well, I'm a comedian, I'll dig us out of this using humour, which, with hindsight, I don't really recommend. We looked at each other, and eventually I said, we're friends now. The guy didn't agree at all. He was absolutely horrified. He said, no, we are not. And he more or less ran away with his real friend, as if I was going to come after them, going, come on, what about our friendship? Let's get a DVD and have a quiet one. Have you seen Marley and Me? It's got a lovely dog in it. When that happens, I mean, nobody here would relish a situation where you try and be funny and it doesn't come off. I'm a comedian. My job is to bond with people using humour. So if you have a few incidents like that and it doesn't work out well, then quite quickly you become paranoid. You start thinking, well, maybe I'm not funny. Maybe this is not the job for me. And any sort of glimmer of anxiety like that is a problem for a comedian. It takes quite a bit of self-possession to do this job, obviously. And I've never been a particularly optimistic person. I'm certainly not a glass half full character. I don't know. I don't like the phrase glass half empty because that is that's a grim sentiment. I would say the glass is half full, but it's half full of piss. Or so that probably sums up my worldview. Something is in the glass, but I'm not convinced I want it. And for quite a long time, that has served me all right as a philosophy. Just a couple of years ago, for the first time, I started to get genuinely worried, partly because of this series of incidents where I wasn't funny, part of the shows weren't going well. For the first time in these 10 years, I experienced real reluctance to perform. I was just getting more and more nervous before going on stage. And it got to the point where, in 2013, I Googled, how do I control my anxiety? And that is where I first hit upon the idea of heavy drinking, which... Yes, a guarded laugh there. Certainly, as a solution, it has its pros and cons, really. I mean, you can obviously see how it happens because you have a drink, the show goes a bit better, you start to make a connection between drinking and being funny. So maybe next time you have a couple of drinks, and it can easily escalate. There was a period where I was in danger of becoming, there's not really a word for it, but like a shopaholic, but with booze. And thanks. It's really satisfying when people laugh at that joke because it cost me sort of a year of my life to research it. I mean, I was drinking too much, there's no doubt about it, but because the shows were going well, I became psychologically, or at least I believed I was psychologically dependent on it. There was a period where I was having first a couple of glasses, but then half a bottle. At one point, nearly a bottle of wine, just so I could face going on stage. And I would do that religiously. By religiously, I mean without really thinking it through in detail. So, I know, there's sort of laughter mixed with guilt at that joke, Jeremy. I feel the same. I don't even really... Well, I sort of like the joke in the sense that I mean, it sort of works, doesn't it? But I always feel slightly, a lot of comedians are very, very harsh when it comes to religious belief and they mercilessly mock the religious. I'm not really like that. I do sort of feel that, I had a relatively hard period in my life where I could have done with some sort of faith to get me through. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I like to wind up a religious person, as we all do, just for the sport of it. But I don't really mean anything by it. I managed to really piss off a Buddhist recently, which, it takes some doing, because, of course, their whole thing is they're not meant to have any human emotions. They're meant to have let them all go. But by the time we finished talking, I definitely felt this guy had reconnected with some of his. He was just one of these people that is you have to question everything. He said, you have to question everything. I was like, well, why? And he didn't even think that was funny. There we go. There is my vindication. If I ever see him again, I suppose I'll give him the DVD. It was a tonal error, man. He was the sort of person to call you man. He was the sort of person, above all, that I thought he was wise if he asked a lot of questions. At one point he said, I was describing various problems I had. He said, how do you know that you are really alive? I'm like, what are you meant to say to that? Well, I don't know for sure, but I probably am. I played pool today, I've just been for a wee, I've got a credit card, I don't think I've died. Everything was like that. We began talking because it was the subject of religion that got us onto debate. I was saying a fairly standard argument that people... Not even an argument, I was just saying... if there is a God, which I accept there could easily be, but why doesn't he just help us? The world is in such a bad way now. We clearly can't look after it. Why does he not intervene? And straight away, the guy was like, what do you mean he? Why do you assume if there is a God, it has to be a he? And I was like, well, it's just a boy's name, isn't it? God. It just sounds like a bloke. If it was a girl, it would be Amy or something like that. And, the conversation never really got beyond that. I can remember there was definitely a time, perhaps when I was your age, or certainly when I was in my teens, early 20s, when I was fascinated by this sort of metaphysics, the unanswerable questions. Is there a God? What happens when we die? Is there another universe? And so on. But as I've mentioned, I'm in my mid-30s, I have children, I'm tired now. I can no longer be that worried about the unanswerable question. You'll know if you've got children, I have enough trouble with answerable questions. My whole life is answerable. An average day in my life is just a 24-hour interrogation by a tiny Jeremy Paxman figure. All day long, all I do is field questions. Can we go to Canada? It's always things like that as well. They're not anchored to anything that's happened. No sense. Can we go to Canada? When can we go to Canada? How many people live in Canada? How far away is Canada? When will we go to Canada? Will we get there on a plane? How do you fly a plane? Can I be a pilot? Can I have a camel? Can I have a sandpit? Why are you crying? So I'm no longer that fussed about whether the universe has an ultimate purpose or not, really. I'm generally just trying to get to the next playground, which you can really only say that if you do have your own kids, by the way. That's one way in which the climate of comedy has changed in recent years. Which is bad enough, but the weirdest thing of all was, in the end, there wasn't even a kangaroo. I know, like... I know. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I was like, where's the kangaroo? And I go, I don't know. Just, oh, you really had to be there. Whoever it was that came in there, yeah, pretty late. But I'm just basically talking about how my life started to spiral out of control and sort of not be worth living. Hi, welcome. It's frustrating when people are this late, because it's like, we probably do have to start again, realistically. This is what I say, so not really. But I was on here for a bit, funny stuff, came on, did some admin, latecomers, various protocols, Marks and Spencers, keep calm and carry on, got kids, fuck off, that was funnier at the time. Stuff like that. Oh, we're friends now. Yeah, fine. Is there a God? Probably not absolutely sure. Fine. Drinking. Oh, drinking. Yes, various problems. Right. So you're up to date now. And if you've like accidentally fast-forwarded the DVD to this point, that also is a handy guide. If you can't be asked to watch the whole thing because it's Christmas. Yeah. The thing is, it's all very well to sort of spurn religions, well, I haven't spurned them exactly, but I'm these days relatively untouched by them. But if you don't have some sort of worldview to bind everything together, and if you also are drinking too much, things quite quickly do go bad for you. And there was certainly a period, and this is fairly recently still, where things were not well in my head. It's never an easy thing to talk about. We all get plenty of opportunities to talk about how we are. Every day, someone asks you, you will have been asked today, how are you? How are you doing? How's it all going? But we all know you're not meant to tell people. You're meant to say, yeah, I'm fine, yeah, it's great. You're not meant to say crushed beneath the jackboot of life like a tin can. If you start talking like that, people generally don't remain friends with you for very long. And that goes almost across the board in life. When people ask how things are going in Argos, when they say, did you find everything you were looking for today? They just mean within Argos. If you say, no, inner peace continues to elude me, but like, shit, I've got a tiny pen here, you can write a tiny suicide note, how's that? It is a particularly difficult thing to talk about because the way people discuss sort of mental fragility is pretty flippant, I think, in this country. 2 years ago when I began this show, which is sort of coming to the end of its life now, I remember on tour, every night I would come out of the show and I would hear this song. You still hear it from time to time. It's been supplanted by Get Lucky, and then there's Because I'm Happy, and so forth. But the song that used to be unavoidable was, and you'll still remember it, Hey, I Just Met You, and This Is Crazy. Remember that? If you don't remember it, it went, Hey, I Just Met You, and This Is Crazy. This is what I mean, it's crazy. Here's my number, so call me maybe. Which is not a very convincing rhyme. Certainly not a convincing premise for a song. Every night I would hear that and think, really? Is that what people call crazy? I would say if you've just met someone and you're quite keen to meet them again, swapping numbers is the least crazy course of action I can imagine. The song should go, hey, I just met you, and this is solid admin. Or if you're doing the whole crazy thing, at least be truthful. Follow it through. Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. I've written my name in shit on your garage. Yeah? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. I bought a falcon, but I don't have a license for a bird of that size. Yeah? These are the sort of songs I'd like to hear. Where are these songs? There are no songs like that. And so if you are not feeling happy, the chances are you'll just continue to bury yourself in this rut. And that's certainly what I did. I didn't really talk about it to people. I didn't have pop songs to help me out of it. And so I started to take it out more and more generally on strangers. I've mentioned I try and maintain good relationships with people that I know, but strangers began to feel the weight of my sense that life wasn't going well. Anyone that called me from an unknown number, this time last year even, was heading rapidly for a world of pain. I got a call once from from British Gas. I was going to say my gas provider, then I said British Gas, so I think I've really covered who it is now. From well-known gas suppliers, British Gas. And they said this girl, not her fault at all, of course, but this call centre person said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it you would recommend British Gas to a friend? But I was in a terrible frame of mind. I said, 2 or 3, and she sounded really gutted. The girl said, I'm sorry to hear that. And so I had to clarify, it's just all my life I've really struggled to maintain friendships. So to summarise, the situation that you name is unlikely, but not for gas-related reasons. The nuisance calls have really dropped off since then. They back off quite quickly if you imply you might kill yourself, even though fewer people never do it with gas. Sorry. I've earned the joke. I had a difficult time. That's nothing, though. Once I was on the phone to I don't always tell audiences this, and I don't think this should go on a DVD, but, well, here we all are. I was once on the phone to my bank, and they kept me on hold for bloody ages. And for about half an hour, I was listening to this message going, thank you for waiting. We're receiving a high number of calls, a high number of calls. Sorry for the wait, we're receiving a high number of calls, a high number... Oh, no, it went. A high number of calls. And I was getting more and more frustrated with this phrase boring its way into my skull. And finally, this lady picked it up, again, completely defenceless, and somewhere in a call centre, nothing to do with the actual incident, but by pure misfortune, she used the same phrase. She said, hello, this is Sophie, thank you for waiting. We've received a high number of calls. And just because it was the same phrase, I felt something physically give inside me, and my brain started doing that alarm that we all have built in. It goes, hello, just to let you know, you're going to do something regrettable now. As your brain, I'm off for a few minutes, so good luck, see you on the other side. And I heard myself say, really, a high number of calls? You're going to receive a high number of my balls in a minute. Which, in my defence, it does rhyme, so it was quite witty. But on the negative side, my telephone banking has been suspended for some months now. I hate the thought that there's someone out there that actually remembers having been harassed by me. Probably not. Probably just wakes up occasionally and thinks, how many balls, I wonder? What sort of a man could make a threat like that? Well, let's see him in a documentary one day. So that's a low ebb. I think anyone can agree shouting about your balls to a stranger on the phone it would be nice if that was the lowest ebb, but wait and see where the story goes next. At one point I was on a train coming back from a TV show. I'd done this TV show which was pretty bad. It wasn't purely my fault, it was bad. All the same, it had been. And so I was on the train drinking. I had smuggled a bottle of wine out of the sort of laughably named rap party, and I was thinking about this poor show, how it would impact on my career, getting more and more drunk, and by the time I got off this train, I was as drunk as the bloke that invented the website Ask Jeeves. On the night that someone showed him Google, and he thought, shit. That's the exact same idea, but mine had a butler in it for no reason. Or a valet. I think technically Jeeves is a valet. Anyway. Ironically, in the end, the TV show, it didn't even go that badly. Well, it had what they call a mixed response, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with that PR phrase. And the reviews have been mixed. In other words, some people fucking hated it. Other people didn't watch it. So it's... I needn't have had so much paranoia, but there I was, drunk on this train, and all over the train, and you'll have seen this, even on your way here, you probably saw this, it's ubiquitous now. There are adverts for charities all over the train, for donating by text. Please send us a text, we'll get a £5, donate automatically by text. It's quite an appealing way, a middleman-free way of donating to charities, especially appealing if you are hammered, which, as we've said, I was. So I don't have any recollection of this, by the way, but I do recall putting my phone on the next morning with that slight trepidation you do, thinking, what have I done while drunk? And my inbox was just a stream of messages saying, thank you so much, your donation makes such a difference, thank you for your generosity. And I scrolled down and down and down, and there were more and more of them. And it turned out in £5 increments, I donated 180 quid, right? To birds, not even people, for fuck's sake. I know. 180, I mean, I like birds, but do we need them that much? £180, what are they going to do with it? 180 quid on bird seed? Or, well, I've got no idea. They could have gone to Garfunkel's for all I know. All I know is Do you still get Garfunkels? It seems like a really dated reference. Bella Pasta, whatever. I'm looking for a fairly middle, not even middle. Garfunkels is probably quite, doesn't matter. Hi. In my day, to impress someone, you took them to Garfunkels, but as is increasingly evident, my day was 1998. It didn't even impress them then either. That was a moment where I thought it is time to draw some sort of a line in the sand, not just because of the 180 quid, although that is a bit of a slap in the face, but more because of what a pathetically un-rock and roll story it is. You know, in a theatre like this, there are posters up all outside in the lobby. You'll have seen posters for genuinely rock and roll comedians that will have done this very theatre and then gone out, got hammered, woken up the next morning somewhere in W1 thinking, where am I? Who have I slept with? Who is this? And whereas I wake up after a massive night, put my phone on and think, who have I donated to now? What good causes have benefited this time? So that was a clear sign that it was time for me to address my behaviour, but unfortunately I let it slide just that bit longer until we came eventually to the day that I do now regard as the lowest moment of this period of my life. I took my kid to a children's party. The people had really gone to quite a lot of effort. It was 9 o'clock start, that is why I signed up for kid duty, because that's the sort of time of day I can just about handle. But I'd forgotten that kids are mental, so it's 9 in the morning. Right, I know, a party at 9 in the morning. Yes, I'd love to do that with my life. It's difficult to describe how horrendous a situation this was to be in hungover, but in the moment we're going to recreate it. The it wore on for 3 or 4 hours. In a second, we're going to recreate it over the course of just 60 seconds. So in 1 minute, I can bring you down to what I regard as my mental lowest point, and then for the rest of the show, it'll be all about healing collectively. So to set the scene, there were balloons everywhere. This is the worst thing. I know that balloons are common at parties, but I hate balloons. I hate it when they burst. I don't like any sort of sudden loud noises. I'm quite an anxious person. It doesn't really come across on stage. But this Mr. Cool thing is just a persona, really. So any sudden noises, balloons bursting, that sneeze... That's a shame. That was actually really good. But that will look like a setup on TV. But someone did make an unbelievable noise, just as I was saying I don't like noises. I don't any loud noises. Thunder and lightning, bombs. I hate being bombed. So if you imagine, there's like hundreds of balloons everywhere. Is the bombs thing weird? I'm just one of those guys. Anytime I'm in an airstrike, I'm like, no, let's get out of here. It's a quirk. So there's balloons everywhere, littering the ground, with tiny feet about to stamp on them any moment. There were whistles as well, which, of course, if you give kids whistles, they'll blast away on them. There was a little play tent, which my kid immediately crawled into, and then defended from other kids with Putin-like ferocity. Putting me on a negative footing with almost every other parent there. There was music coming out of 4 different speaker systems, but all slightly out of time with each other. Plus the mother whose whose kid was having the party was pursuing me everywhere, going, are you having a nice time? Is he enjoying it? Are you having a good time? Until I started to wish that she would basically fuck off. But it's, again, not the sort of thing you can really say. So we're going to now recreate all of these elements so that for 1 minute you can feel as bad as I did on this day in 2013. First of all, who'd like to blow a whistle? This is a pretty easy volunteering job. I've got 4 whistles. You've just got to blast away on it like an excited 3 or 4-year-old would. Anyone? Yes, hand up there. That's... yes, just about carries. One at the front there is good. And then maybe a couple on that side. Or one up in the circle would be good, actually. Well, yeah. What about one down there? And then that's gone slightly wide. But it was still... I think that was catchable. Catches win matches, mate. If I go on to make 100 now, you'll regret that. And then the thing is, you're just well, 2 things, really. You're sort of almost too close for it to be a challenge. And also, it looks like you've got your pyjamas on from here. Is that... I mean, am I sort of being unfair? So I think I'll give it to someone that's just a bit further back and has day wear on. Having said this, I'm going to look quite the twat if this doesn't quite reach the balcony, which is perfectly ready. OK. This is exciting, isn't it? It's got it all, this DVD, comedy, sport. There we go, ready? Who am I aiming for? Yeah, that gentleman there, I think. Glasses, second row. Yeah, you. Yes, you. Yeah. Yeah. To give you a further clue, the guy that just said here. Yeah. Ready? OK, let's go. Yeah, maybe if you stand up just so I've got a target to aim at. Here we go. Oh! Dramatic scenes, it veered away. That guy in the front of the circle tried to catch it one-handed, but it's gone down. It's ended up somewhere down there. Never mind, the balloons. Now, the balloons I'm not going to distribute. Obviously, balloons are going to come into the audience in a minute. If you get a balloon, obviously burst it. But you don't have to do it straight away. You've got 60 seconds. You can afford to fuck with me a bit. As the kids did, I was going to say. I don't think I will say that. There we are. That's an example of where swearing is unhelpful. You can afford to emotionally manipulate me would have been a better way of putting it. We need somebody to be the kid's parent and just pursue me around going, you're having a nice time? You're enjoying it? Oh, worryingly quick to volunteer there. Worryingly quick volunteering plus front row equals likely legal ramifications here, but none. All right, well, two of you? I suppose you could take one side each and I'll sort of run up and down. This is, there we go, off they go. Alarming keenness. Yeah, if you, well, you're right, yeah, if you, there are treads on that side as well. Yes, you can both get down. OK, so I'll come down into the auditorium and you can just sort of follow me around. And now, this is quite ambitious, but it is a DVD recording, so I've got the play tent. So for the perfect reenactment, someone should really get in this tent and just... The 17-year-old, I don't know if I want to go down in history as a man that forced an underage man into a tent as part of a comedy recording. On the other hand, how would you feel about spending some time in the tent? You can be honest about this. Would you rather stay there? You don't know? He's got every right to not know, I think. And he said it in a really measured way as well. I don't know. In your position, I also wouldn't know. Does anyone know they actively do want to do it? Yeah, your hand. Come on. Well, yeah, go on. Get out there. Look at that. He even clenched his fist there. Yeah, help to find your way out. OK, so, what's your name? Crystal and... Sorry? Kristen and Crystal. This is a bit too weird. If your name's Christian, I'm going to leave. Hi. Josh. Hi, Josh. In the tent you go, I suppose. Pretty good. There we go. That's how you do it. Okay. The biggest rounds of applause so far there. Not for a joke, just for a man getting into a thing. There we go. So Crystal and Kristen, the mysteriously evil twin name, goes, are going to chase me around, just shouting, are you having a nice time? Josh is just going to stay in there, pretending to be my 5-year-old. This isn't at all weird. We've looped some horrible-sounding music to give you the impression of what it was like. Balloons are going to come down. Right, we're all ready to go. 60 seconds of hell await you as you delve into the memory. So, let's start the clock, start the music. I'm going to play Awful Party Reenactment. Here we go. Release the balloons. Release the music. Here we go. Here come the balloons. And down I go. I'm having a lovely time. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm having a really good time. Yeah, no, it's absolutely not. Yeah, thank you. Can you just leave me alone, please? Yeah, I am. Yeah. Oh, shit. Fucking hell. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, everywhere. Oh, my God. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's muscular. And they're everywhere. And the noise is everywhere. Yeah, I'm having a lovely time. Thank you. Yeah, but I don't want it. Yeah, but I'm having a lovely time. Yeah, but I don't really want to keep doing it. Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. No, it's been great. Yeah, but honestly, please leave me alone. Yeah, no, it's been really good. And the balloons keep going. Fuck off! Fuck off! And the music is absolutely awful, but you can't go home. You can't really leave. Oh, shut fuck off! And you want to go, you just can't. And it just keeps on going. And then, yes, I'm having a lovely time. I've had a lovely time. And it just keeps on. Yes! Yes! I'm having a great time. Now, please fuck off. And on it goes. On it goes. Until you start thinking, well... And by the way, I've got no way of ending this. And in that respect, it's exactly like the party. So yeah. Basically, it was a bit like that. Thank you to Kristen and Crystal and Josh. Ah, God. Thank you, Josh. Well, I can see you've still got one down there, you fucker. Oh, I think my worst one was when Evil Twin 2 squeezed the balloon to death in front of me. Christ. I was, well, I found that quite stressful. So after that day, I began therapy. You piece of shit. Occasionally, you glimpse the absolute depth of a human soul. I was just talking about how I had counselling, mate. I got a counsellor, one of these Irish women you get, whose name is like G-H-R-U, but it's pronounced Mary. She gave me various tips on being more positive, which, well, the first one, I'm going to pass this on to you because you never know when you might need this. She said, make yourself have one positive thought every day before breakfast. Something that's good about your life, something you're looking forward to or grateful for, one thing before breakfast. And of course, it sounds like such hippie bollocks. At first, you're so resistant to it. And then you start practicing and you realise, I can just have breakfast much later. Generally have like a casserole these days. She suggested various things. She suggested running, which is something I used to be into. I'd sort of let it go. She said running is good for you, it releases endorphins. Maybe just run on the way to work. So as you've seen, I do that now. She also suggested eating more healthily and drinking less, controversially, which I managed to do. It's not easy. Eating healthy is a pain in the arse. 5 fruit and veg you're meant to have, as I'm sure you all know. But did you know that's every day? 5 a day is not cumulative over a lifetime, as I was just going to have some sprouts in my 50s and have done with it, but no, every day. And giving up, well, I have not given up drinking, but I certainly moderated my alcohol intake. That is even more difficult in a way, because, and I don't think people admit this necessarily, but booze is lovely, isn't it? Oh, it's ever so nice, it really is. People were talking about, I heard about your battle with alcohol. I mean, it's never a battle, we were getting on really well. I would call it sort of a collaboration more. Part of your problem is if you try to avoid drinking, the alternatives available are absolutely pitiful. You try and order Coke in a pub, you can't even get Coke. They just squirt this crap out of a tube and they say, it's not real Coke, is that okay? And you're like, well, not really, can I pay you with chocolate money in that case? When they say it's not actually Coke, it's own brand cola, you're allowed to say, that's fine, I've got some own brand cash here. It's not actually money, it's just me stroking you in the face while singing Can't Fight the Moonlight by Leanne Rimes. Is that okay? They hardly ever will take that, by the way. But I managed it. I managed to eat more healthily, give up drinking at least to an extent. I was shamed into it partly by Americans, of all people. I did these shows with some American comedians. I did an off-Broadway show, which sounds fancy, just means it wasn't on Broadway, just in Lincolnshire, in fact. And, this guy was like really militant about it. I had a sandwich, fairly innocuous, you think, a sandwich before the show. And this guy was going, oh man, white bread is evil. And I was like, no, you're thinking of genocide, sure. I'm always mixing them up as well. But, the way you remember it is genocide is sort of systematically wiping out entire ethnic groups and stuff like that, whereas white bread is more rolls than that. And he agreed that was a really snappy way of memorising it. So I became much healthier physically, but after I'd sorted out these exteriors, we came back to what the counsellor called the core issue, which is confidence. How are you meant to be confident and stand up for yourself, the person you are, without just becoming too much of a tool? So many people have misplaced confidence. So many people you see, they're just like, I just love the person I am. I just love being me. And you find yourself thinking, oh, you really shouldn't. You do realise you're awful, don't you? You get these people that are like, the thing about me is you're either going to love me or hate me. And you think, oh, I can clear up the doubt almost straight away, actually. I was on a train with these dicks. This is quite common. I mean, it's not always men that manifest overconfidence, but it particularly affects me when it's alpha males, because I look at these people and think, you're the sort of person I want to be, in theory, but I don't actually want your personality. These guys were so confident. This was in first class. If it had been standard class, I'd have happily paid to upgrade myself just to get away from these people, which I sometimes do. But they were already in first. There's nowhere to go after that unless you actually drive the train yourself, which they hardly ever let you do that. I think you should be able to pay more money and downgrade other passengers. I think you should just be able to give them 40 quid and say, fuck him off at Reading, will you? But at the moment, most rail networks don't provide that service. So I'm having to listen to these guys, confident alpha males, just perving over this men's magazine, 50 Best Bums of 2015, it said, which I always find it a bit weird, that kind of thing. Not the bums that we all enjoy a bum, but for a start, it was, this is very early in the year, it's like February 2015, it's very, very premature to be giving the bum awards out at this stage. What if a great bum emerges in June or something, you're going to start the judging from scratch? It almost makes Bums of the Year not seem like a serious competition. But on top of that, I do find it creepy when body parts are dissociated from actual people like that. Bums. The point of a bum is that it's attractive because it's attached to a woman, surely, or a man, somebody that you fancy. A bum without that context is not something to celebrate, I wouldn't think. If someone gave you a bum in a carrier bag this evening, for example, you wouldn't say, this looks like number 32, Nicole Kidman. You say, this is troubling, where did you get this from? And, Nicole Kidman, showing my age a bit there. I think she's probably dead by now. I've got absolutely no idea who goes in these roundups of sexy women these days. Most of the women that I've had crushes on in my life are worryingly old now. Not that I judge them for it, I just judge myself for it. It makes me realise how old I am. I look at Madonna these days and think, Madonna's probably not that old, but she's put herself through such terrible things, such ironic anti-aging measures. Generally, people age worse if they've tried to anti-age, and Madonna is ravaged now by the effort to cheat death. I look at her and think, can this be the woman that basically taught me to wank? And possibly I'm sort of romanticising the past a bit. I should clarify, by that I mean she made a series of highly erotic videos in the 80s. This was never a service that she officially offered, I don't think. There was a period where the music dropped off a bit in the late 90s, but I don't think she was ever going door to door in suburban Bristol. So, any queries? Oh no, you don't want to hold it that tightly. How are we meant to resolve it? It'd be lovely if I could bring the show to a close by revealing that I'd somehow come across the secret of how to be confident and live a good life. Embrace your flaws, but not be too sort of bogged down by them. And eventually, it'd be nice if in my life I came to that point as well. I haven't really. All I would say is, in terms of taking a slightly more positive standpoint, I saw something which I'll conclude with this as a sort of, not exactly a final thought, but at least it made me think more positively about my place in the universe. I was walking not far from here, just on the South Bank, sometime last year, and it was cold, it was winter, and this guy was busking, but he's unfortunately a very bad singer. Busking wasn't the right choice for him. He's singing Wonderwall by Oasis, but miles out of tune, if anything further out of tune than the original song. These two girls started giving him terrible stick. You're shit, but you can't sing. Like, horrible stuff. One of them went, get a band, as if that was one of the options available to this guy. As if he was just going, thank you very much for your input, I'm off to join Kasabian now. They keep asking, but I've never quite put it all together. And I thought, do I have the nerve to do what is clearly the right thing here, to wade into the middle of it and say, hey, leave this guy alone. You don't have the right to do that. And I like to think I would have done it. But at the last minute, the decision was taken out of my hands dramatically. Without warning, this guy just stopped playing, put his guitar down, got his dick out. And as suddenly as that, with no warning at all, amazing moment. And as someone that obviously spends a lot of time thinking about the appropriate way to deal with other humans, it was a real eye-opener for me. Because on the one hand, that is not the slickest move I've ever seen. But on the other hand, looking around all their faces, you would say he won that argument. And it's the sort of thing that you see for 5 seconds, but is permanently etched onto your retinas. By retinas, I mean, well, camera phone. And on the way home, I thought, what can I learn from this? about being a human, and the conclusion I came to was it is very difficult, perhaps more difficult than we acknowledge. Being a person is a difficult gig. Hopefully most of us won't be in quite that sort of difficulty, having your trousers down on the South Bank. But just the things you've got to do just to cut it as a human, just to get through life, even the things I've mentioned in this show. You have to go to the post office, not drink too much, not swear too much, maintain friendships. Sometimes there's someone in a tent there, sometimes someone is Dutch. Life is difficult, and yet we do it. We do it so well. We put so much effort. We're much better than animals, for example. No disrespect to animals, but they have it really easy by comparison, and yet they get so much credit. People are always going on about the wonders of the animal kingdom. You know, animals the ant can lift 50 times its own weight. Who gives a shit? Yeah, ants are tiny. 50 times its weight is like a sugar cube. I can lift a microwave. Catch me boasting about that, do you? A lot of things are like that. People go, oh, animals are all much better, much closer to nature than us. I think, actually, we're the people that shoulder a lot of the responsibility. I know that we've done some bad things to the planet, but being a human, it really is difficult. And so however flawed a human you are, these days I like to stop myself when I'm sort of beating myself, think, oh, I'm a terrible person, think, yeah, but you still are a person, which means that on the continuum of all the things that exist, you're still, just by being a human, you're up there. You're doing better than a lot of them. You know, I'm not being funny, but looking around this, the lights, all of this, the technology, the fact we all came to, because we have a language, we have shared assumptions, we understand how time works. You'd have waited a long time for cats to achieve any of this. Even if they could do it, they'd be like, well, I could, but I don't give a shit, I'm a cat. There's more effort than I'm the hipster of the animal world. And so, just by dint of being a human, you're not doing badly. That would be my sort of take-home message to you, as they say, unfortunately. I wish they didn't say that. Next time you think I'm a really flawed human, stop yourself and think, no, I'm actually a surprise. Apart from you, whoever you are. I was going to say, I'm a surprisingly well-evolved worm. I think that might have been an accident, because the people around really were horrified. There we are. Humans, eh? Sometimes our plans have flaws in them, guys. Wow, this has been absolutely seamless. So I'm gonna leave in a minute. You've been a lovely audience, especially given, and it really is warm now. I'm probably slightly warmer than you under these lights, but I think many of you are manifesting signs of heat. So I'm certainly regretting double layering. That's been a mistake now. It's too late, but I'm going to take it off anyway. Hey! Thank you. I've had it on for the whole show. It's a hell of a lot of physical discomfort for basically 5 seconds of amusement there. But there we are. Like I say, I may be flawed, but I'm trying ever so hard. Thank you very much. You've been a great crowd. You've been watching Flawed by Mark Watson. I'll see you again. Thank you very much. Good night.